just now before we came on air, though, we were speaking about how bad Fulham were. So as much as we want to give praise to Spurs, and right, we'll do it in this section, Fulham were awful. I was watching them thinking, your best player is Willian, who was the outlet all game. He was the outlet all the game. And he's 6 years past his prime. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's just such a clear and obvious, distinct lack of goal-scoring options for Fulham. They're very lucky that there is a weak league down the bottom. Like, whoever ends up going down, I would say that they're unlikely to manage to accrue 40 points between the three clubs that go down. And therefore, Fulham will probably just about have enough. But they're averaging a goal a game. Bearing in mind they scored 3 goals in one game this season. They're all over the place. And unless they rectify this huge issue that they have in front of goal, they're on for a very bleak season.
Yeah, but even without... Look, you're right. Look, Mitrovic is more than just a goal scorer for them. He's almost like the team captain, isn't he? He's the cheerleader. But even without Mitrovic, it can't be that bad. They just look like they can't play football again. And last season they played football.
Yeah, but if you don't have that focal point, if you don't have someone up front that either holds it or flicks it or scores it, then it feels like it's going to be wave and wave and wave after attacks. I think that's how it feels for Fulham at the moment. They didn't help themselves. I mean, they didn't do very well with the press, did they? Spurs do close down really, really well now, but even so, I mean, Calvin Bassett, and they were identical goals, weren't they? Just really, really poor passes from him, and they punished them. So, yeah, look, I thought it was a very good performance, and Maddison and Son, they have struck up some rapport. Yeah. I would say that is a golden sort of axis for Spurs at the moment.
Isn't that just the case, Rory, of good players playing with good players? You know, we sometimes try to overthink things. I think we always talk about this with England, like get your best players on the pitch and they'll find a way to kind of work with each other. Yeah, and Maddison's a good footballer, and so is Son.
Yeah, and they're naturally in tune with one another. They're both very intelligent footballers, and this Maddison partnership, it's going to be very fruitful. It's going to be very fruitful.
The dart throw-ins annoying me, everything.
Yeah, it's very synchronised, isn't it? The synchronisation of that is bang on. Yeah, they're very good at that, and it's a mirror image of the way that they link up on the pitch.
Horrible at saying it.
It really is, but
you know, there's a part of me though. Obviously, you guys are London supporters of Chelsea and Arsenal. There's a part of me as a Liverpool fan. I'm happy to see Son back to where Son was the seasons before last. Like, I've always thought I've always said that I think Son's the best finisher in the Premier League. I know people debate that. I don't know if he's left-footed or right-footed. He's that good. Very Kevin De Bruyne-esque. And as soon as he got that ball on his right foot, I just knew already it was a goal. You just know it's going in. And I'm happy to see Son back.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if he's been wasted out wide all these years with Harry Kane up front. He was obviously shunted to those areas where he got between the posts less often than he does now. But it's the balls into him. I mean, Maddison was fizzing the ball into his feet, wasn't he? Over and over again. It was. I think if I was the striker and I was getting that kind of service from the guy in behind, I would be loving life. So yeah, look, they're flying at the moment, but they need to stay fit and healthy, don't they? Because if they don't, if one or both are out for a prolonged period of time, that is when I think Tottenham might start to slip up a few times.
I do think they have unsung heroes, though. We obviously will always focus on Son and Maddison, but I think Van der Ven at the back looks, I don't want to say Rolls Royce, I'm going to say Bentley, right? Bentley's a step down, but I think he looks fantastic. Kulusevski, I think, looks really good. And I was speaking to Rory a bit earlier. It reminds me of Dirk Kuyt, where he's just got that kind of, he runs powerful, doesn't he? You can't get the ball off him when he starts to really pick up speed.
Kulusevski is one of the most deceiving players in the Premier League, because you look at him and you think, well, he's not rapid, he's not got that many tricks up his sleeve, he doesn't score that many, does he produce that many assists? But everything he does is pretty immaculate. He runs further than any player in the Premier League. He makes more sprints than anyone else in the Premier League. And I was just looking on some of the stats there. No one in the Premier League has created more chances in open play than Dejan Kulusevski.
Yeah, that's incredible.
You wouldn't imagine that. But wait for this. Out of the top 6 in the division, Spurs have got 3 in there.
Yeah.
Kulusevski, Son, and Maddison.
Yeah, there's a lot going well for them. And do you know what? When we talk about them, we often say, do they have the squad for the challenge? Are they likely to falter at some point fairly soon? Because ultimately they don't have the depth. And although there is some mileage in that theory, I do also think that we're not necessarily appreciating the elevation of the players that were already there. Like yesterday night, for example, against Fulham, they finished the game with a midfield 2 of Højbjerg and Skip.
Yeah.
Like, they are making use of the team that was there last year, and at times looked woeful. Yeah. And the other thing that I think is very important, Richarlison has his limitations. He's very good at certain things. I think he's one of the best pressing forwards in the league, but he certainly has his limitations. And ultimately, I think it's fair to say, probably not good enough if Tottenham do want to compete for the league. But it's not necessarily a problem because their marquee signing of the summer, Brennan Johnson, has yet to feature. And I think that is the only position. Their marquee signing plays in a position, probably the only position that hasn't yet clicked this season. So they have a direct, ready-made replacement to at least try out in the problem position so far. I think they're on for something very, very impressive this season.
All right, let's hear from the manager, Ange Postecoglou. He was asked if Spurs can win the league. This is what he said.
You're on top of the table. The last 23 teams that have started the season with as many points as you have from this sort of juncture have gone on to finish in the top 4. What are the targets that you're setting yourselves now?
Same as they were at the start of the year, just to try and be the best football team we can be, mate, and see where that takes us.
Can you win the title?
Unless there's something in the rules that says Tottenham can't, yeah, I think every team can.
Oh, I like that. Don't you like that? I mean, we're going early though, aren't we? With the can you win the title questions after 9 games. I thought when Sam asked that first statement about teams that started this way, I thought he was going to say have all gone on to win the league, but obviously not. Made top 4. It's not early. You don't think after
really.
9 games?
I like his grumpy charisma.
Love it.
I do
that
like
kind of
it.
Aussie.
It's very grumpy charisma. But I don't think it's that early anymore. 9 games in, I think the way that the Premier League table looks today, it's not. Of course, it's not the answer, but it's certainly an indicator as to how it will look in May.
It's a reflection of what we've seen. Clearly, they have been outstanding. No one's created more chances than Spurs. The one caveat that I will say, outside of squad depth, is look who they've played.
Yeah,
they've played the bottom 4. They've played 9 matches in total. 6 of those opponents are in the bottom 8. So they've not really...
I love that stat.
They've not really stretched themselves. That said, they were good against Arsenal. They beat Manchester United. So
beat Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly. So
massive asterisks.
They've had good, big asterisks. But yeah, they'll have a lot of tougher games to come. But
what about the fact that they're not in Europe when all the other teams in that top 6, 7 are? They're the only ones that when it gets to the grind of having to play Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, they don't have to do it.
Yeah. It's obviously a positive because it keeps the players fresher and they're less likely to pick up injuries. But for the players that are not in the team, and at the moment, really, it's the same 11 or 12 players that are playing, 12 or 13. For the guys not involved, when are they playing?
Yeah.
They're not getting any action at all until the FA Cup comes around or they get 5 minutes here or there. So they're going to be a little bit cold, which means when injuries do come and suspensions, then I think there might be a drop-off.
What if Harry Kane was there?
I think they could win the league.
Yeah, so if this right now, where they are, 9 games, top of the table, if Harry Kane was in that 11 alongside Maddison and Son.
Yeah, I think it's a nonsense theory to suggest. I genuinely think it's a nonsense theory. When people go, oh, but Maddison wouldn't be the player that he is if Kane was there. I think he'd love to play with Kane, and equally, I think Kane would thrive having somebody like James Maddison, like Maddison, Son, Kane, Kulusevski. That's elite, isn't it? That's elite.
Yeah.
So, and obviously Postecoglou would love to have had a Harry Kane there. I think it's timing. I think Kane was very unfortunate, isn't he? When you think about who he is, the level that he can play, and at times the players that he had up front with him. So at one point it was Son, Bale, Kane. And what they juxtaposed with that was the most defensive-minded manager currently plying his trade. In fact, Harry Kane worked for and operated under Nuno Espirito Santo, Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte. 3 decent managers.
All
very
defensive-minded.
But the priority is never the attack. Suddenly, they've got an attacking manager that it wouldn't only chime with Harry Kane, but it also chimed with the fabric of Tottenham Hotspur, just as Harry Kane leaves.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame.
It's not a shame.
No, it's not a shame. It's not a shame for the league because it would have been.
I wonder how he feels about it because
he's all right. He's got 13 goals for Bayern Munich.
I mean, he is flying.
He's flying.
He's so good. You know how we used to talk about Lewandowski?
Yeah. That's
he's
Kane,
made
isn't
it? He's made it look very easy.
He's diminished Lewandowski's achievements, hasn't he? Because what is he? He's in his 30s now, isn't he, Harry? So he's just gone straight over there, smashed
Even the guy who scored for England the other day against Italy, I was like, oh, you don't score those goals.
That goal against Italy was sensational, and we don't really talk about it because it's just what he does. Like, picked the ball up basically in his own half. Drove into the heart of the defence.
Question for both of you before we wrap. Can they win it? Not will. Will's a whole different discussion. Can Spurs win the league?
I don't think Spurs can win the league. I don't think they've got the squad for it. They've got a team that can be super competitive. I actually think from where they are now, they should be good enough for top 4, but their ambition should only be top 4. I don't see them qualify. I don't see them winning the title.
Yeah, I guess the simple answer to this is their biggest problems are Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal.
Yes.
There's 3 other teams of bigger squads, better players, ultimately, isn't it?
Yes, but something is going. Sometimes momentum. It isn't about something. Look, I don't think they can win it either. I agree with everything Adrian said, but something is giving me the jitters. Something is troubling me.
Something brewing in North London.
If you asked me this question after 29 games, then I don't even think I'd come on the show.
No,
Jeremy, book him in for December.
I will not acknowledge their title win if it happens. No.